Tehran Conference in 1943 was set in the capital of Iran, and its aim was to improve the relations between the Grand Alliance countries. The USA with its leader Roosevelt, Churchill on behalf of Britain, and Stalin representing the USSR or Russia. So there were 4 agreements that took place in this conference. Now this is the first one. Britain and America were going to open a second front against Germany. Now before this, the first front was to do with Russia. It was a front where Germany and Russia fought in the eastern part, and where Russia was firing against Germany, and Germany was constantly trying to fight off Russia. Now the Russians were starting to need help, and what the Russians hoped was that if Britain and America joined them, but on the other side, that Germany would have to divide into 2, and it would be much easier to defeat them. And now this, the opening of the second front, which happened in this exact conference, was to do with Britain and America, where they agreed that they would invade France in May 1944, also known as D-Day. So, Stalin, what was going through your mind exactly at the time? And especially when the UK and USA decided to join up together for the second front.
Yes, it's right, my name's Stalin. Oh, I was angry, I needed help. I didn't manage to push the Germans back and my country was advancing. But I still needed help as my soldiers were dying. At the same time, though, I knew that the longer Britain and America were delayed, the more territory my country acquired. So, I won't lie, I was pretty conflicted. You know, I felt Britain and America had delayed opening the second front for too long. And I was suspicious because I figured it was intentional. I reckon that the reason why Churchill and Roosevelt were doing this was because they hoped that Germany and us, Russia, would fight so much that we'd both be super weak. And then when those 2 sly countries joined them later on, it would be easier to defeat Germany. And then us. All I knew was that they had something planned. I was very suspicious of them, and they were very distrustful towards me.
The second agreement was that Russia agreed to help the Allies fight against Japan, and the third agreement that happened in this conference was based on establishing a new international organization, also known as the United Nations, where after the war they would sort out disputes and try and create peace. The last agreement, which also created tension like the first one, was that the Allies agreed that an area of eastern Poland would be added to Russia. Churchill, I know you agree to this, but wasn't part of you against this?
Honestly, yes, I am extremely anti-communist and was therefore always pretty suspicious of Stalin, and started to think that letting him get Poland was not such a good idea after all. I mean, one of the reasons why we, Britain, entered World War II was to protect the independence of Poland, and therefore declared war on Germany when Germany invaded Poland the 3rd of September 1939. And now that Stalin wanted complete control of Poland, well, things weren't exactly perfect.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's awfully cold for being February. Well, it's 1945, and the most important conference has just happened. Stay tuned for some exclusive interviews. Good afternoon, Stalin.
Good afternoon.
How are you? How did the conference go?
I am fine.
So I hear in the conference it was you, Chamberlain, and Roosevelt.
Yes, we know each other for a long time, but there are 2 idiots. Nobody likes them. I do not like them, my country does not like them. If my country does not like them, nobody has to like them. We know each other for a long time, so there's a bit of respect, but nobody actually likes them.
Wait, but how did the conference go?
Oh, the conference went okay. It went okay.
Did you reach any conclusions with the conference?
We have reached many conclusions with the conference.
For example? Do you have any example you want to tell us?
I want to slay all Germans. Everybody wants to slay all Germans. That sounds good. Incredibly good. Incredibly.
What about you? Any personal thoughts you want to share? Poland is mine. They will not be able to take it away from me. Way too many Soviets, my people, are in Poland to be taken away from me. It is part of me. And maybe we are extending towards Berlin, but they won't take that away from me either. They need me. Chamberlain and Roosevelt need me. Nobody will take it away from me. What about Germany? What did the conference conclude about Germany? Any thoughts? What will happen to Germany? Germany will be divided in 4 pieces. 1 for United States, 1 for England, Britain, and 1 for me, and another one for France. But France, as it is the new one, it will take a piece from Britain and the United States. From me, nobody takes away anything. Okay, thank you very much for your time. See you later. From Stalin, we can conclude that there's a lot of hate inside of him. I mean, was that just me? Or was he kind of hateful? Oh my god, there's Roosevelt. Come on, let's go get an interview. So, right now we have Roosevelt with us. Hello, Roosevelt, how are you feeling? Hello. So, I just wanted to let you know that we spoke to Stalin before, and he was kind of angry with life in general. Oh, you spoke to him? Wait, what is it? Is there something you gotta tell us? Oh, nothing. Stalin is just a bit... I mean, nobody really trusts him, but, like, for example, I kind of do, because there's something about him, but... I mean, there's not much to trust, but I feel like he's really genuine, but yeah, there's nothing people should trust about him. He's, well, how to say this in a nice way? He's like a ticking bomb in a way. He could explode any second. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, any thoughts on the conference? Any personal thoughts? Oh, Chamberlain says I'm a kiss ass. I mean, I'm not a kiss ass, am I? I'm practically on my deathbed, like, cut me some slack. Please. If I'm trying to make something right, it's not my fault I'm on the verge of death. Like, please, have you seen these eyes? What about the conference? Any conclusions you guys have reached? I mean, Stalin has told us a bit, but I want to hear from your opinion. Well, obviously, the German leadership is to be put on trial for war crimes, and the non-German territories in Central Europe need to be restored as independent countries. And what about your feelings about Stalin being in Poland? And, you know, most of the Soviets being in Poland. What are your feelings on that? Well, okay, so first off, we need to understand a bit. So technically, Poland lost territory in the east and then gained in the west from Germany, but not much has changed. But if we look at the technicalities, 20% has changed. Poland is 20% smaller. Those wretched Poles need to get their government reorganized to include London Poles and Lublin Poles. Now, before we get all the questions coming and all of that, what are they? Why do we need them and all that? Well, we need to remember. The London Poles have assisted us in the West. Meanwhile, the Lublin Poles have been in exile in the Soviet Union. Thank you very much. It was nice seeing you. Thank you, and I hope I helped you. I mean, was it just me? Or did Roosevelt seem kind of frail? I mean, he did say he was on his deathbed, but I think he was right. But anyways, let's try and go sneak an interview with Chamberlain. So, for our final interview with our final guest, we have Chamberlain here. Hello, what's up, Chamberlain? How are you feeling? Good afternoon. So, before we start anything, I just want to let you know, just like I let Roosevelt know, that we spoke to Roosevelt and Stalin. Honestly, Stalin is an idiot. Like, nobody should actually trust him. Like, how do people even trust him? It's just in his face. And Roosevelt trusts him. But I don't even know how. Why? Oh, and don't get me started on Roosevelt. Roosevelt is... Okay. Roosevelt thinks that just because he's dying, he can do whatever he wants. He can appease him. He can be such a kiss-ass as he is. But no, that's not how you're supposed to run a country. Like, honestly, you're supposed to be an image. You are supposed to be an image to your country. That is just being disrespectful. That is just being... I can't even, honestly. Well, we all have our thoughts on each president, don't we? But let's get serious. What about the conference? Well, at least Stalin is helping. He's helping? Stalin is helping. I mean, what is he doing? He's not doing much, but he did agree to help us in the war against Japan. What are the conditions of this? There must be conditions, right? Obviously, there are conditions. He said he would join 2 or 3 months after the German surrender. But that is a bit unfair, because what is the point then? And then he also said that he wants to gain dominance over Mongolia and then regain the Kuril Islands and a part of Sakhalin Island. He would also like to assert control over Port Arthur as well as all the Manchurian Railway. Yeah, he's a bit excessive. But apart from that, we did kind of make this whole thing better because it was Roosevelt's fault. He appeased to all this. This was an insane order. But thanks to me, we did make this better. We came to a new conclusion that when the war had ended between Japan, he would leave all the countries which he had taken over. Well, taken over. I mean, he had settled in. So that's good. If he does help, and when he does help, and when the war ends, he will at least leave those countries alone. And yes, although I don't think I should trust him, but Roosevelt kind of convinced me to trust him. So I think I'm gonna kind of wing it, but if it does not happen, which 95% of me tells me that, I do not know what I will do. Thank you very much for your time, Chamberlain. Thank you, and I hope I helped you. That's all for today. Now, let's wait a while and see what happens. Maybe in a couple months, maybe in a couple years, maybe in a couple decades, maybe never. But I think conflict and mistrust is bound to happen. I mean, we can already tell that nobody really does like Stalin. But then again, Stalin is kind of taking advantage of the other two because he thinks Roosevelt and Chamberlain are weak. But then again, Chamberlain thinks that Roosevelt is being an idiot for being such a kiss-ass. But then again, so much drama. Like, what do you guys think? Can you believe this? Stalin has still not come out of the countries he occupied. I mean, that was part of the deal. Oh, why did we even trust him? I blame Roosevelt. Why did he have to appease? Why is Stalin not moving out? Honestly. We should all obey the rules. I mean, obviously I was not gonna move out of all the other countries. Like, I wouldn't even trust myself with this. Obviously I was not gonna move out. And I will never move out. I do not care about the pact we made in the conference in February, but I will not move out of the countries. They are now mine. They are now mine.